Good morning, Sam. Funny Donnie. Good morning. Colwinder, welcome. Good morning, Derek. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a great holiday. All right, so we're about a week late. Welcome, Tim. I love the people that are back. If you think I'm going to read your name, you're crazy. That's just gross, first of all. Well, lovely to be back on TikTok. Anyways, so I was going to do this on the 2nd of January. I hurt my back, so I had to take some time. And that actually was a lesson, which actually leads perfectly into this. As we're talking about grace in the grind, also leads into the accountability portion. Welcome, Avi Boo, Lori McIntyre, and Manuchika. Welcome, Corey. So I hope everybody had a good holiday. I did. I actually took the time for myself. It was really nice. That doesn't get to happen very often. We got to enjoy ourselves and have a huge Christmas dinner with some friends. It was really wonderful. Took that time. Now Grace is back in school. I have enough time and energy to focus on my own stuff too. In doing that, I had to learn along the way. When I threw my back out, talking about keeping up with the Joneses, I'm talking about getting everything done, being accountable, trusting ourselves, giving ourselves grace. Yet I'm setting my standards so far up here, and for myself, which even still, I think I'm giving myself grace, but I wasn't. I was pushing through, I do all kinds of stuff in the background. I have my business that I'm running. I'm creating this content constantly, so it's always going out. And I don't know how many people notice, but they all tell a story. And if you watch along the way, it's the process of evolution, alchemy, transmutation. We're literally transforming one thought, one feeling, one emotion into the other. And that's, if you notice, there's always going to be tools and there's always going to be things that I talk about that's actually going to help you on the way doing this. So I had to take that time, and I said, no, you're right, because it was just God telling me, hey, you got to learn too. You can't tell everyone to be graceful with themselves and teach themselves kindness and do those things, and you're not even showing up for yourself appropriately. So I had to learn it along the way too, and I sat down, and it gave me some good examples of the self-trust and flow, because as we begin to become free and wholly accountable, which we're moving into for January. Welcome, Julie and Rosa. As we're working through it and understanding how to peel back the layers of our emotions, which was the first part. Tatiana, welcome. The first part, right, was peeling back, learning the emotions, understanding the tools so we're not exploding, so we're showing up for ourselves. Then learning how to give ourselves grace as we're going through it. So again, understanding our expectations, learning how to sit in the still point and manifest and think about all the good things that are coming. And then, of course, this part this week is the self-trust and flow. Once you understand and you understand that you're not filtering something through emotion, you're not filtering it through pain or expectation, you're starting to understand your capacity. And when you do that, that's when you start to learn a lot more things about yourself. Welcome, W and Tamboy. I don't know how to say your name. 142. Ali, Synapses. Oh, Vars. Good morning. Zoso. Welcome. So that's the part of self-trust and flow that we're going to talk about today in the Grace and the Grind. Welcome, Rickster and user 798. Romario Royal and Savannah. Andre, welcome. So, your body speaks before your mind catches up. Welcome, Sasa, Kirby, Harasa. Oh, I raised snakes. Yes, I forgot how I missed those comments. Your body speaks before your mind catches up. So basically, when my back went out, it was saying enough. It was saying you need to rest. You think you're resting, but you're still working here and doing this and doing that, and you're pulling all this stuff together, and going way over what you're supposed to be. This is supposed to be a rest period. I thought it was resting, but again, when we put our expectations so high for ourselves, we don't understand that those moments of sitting down, of resting, of just having those moments. Are necessary. We need it so we can move forward and be in a good place, and understand why we're moving forward. If we're just constantly moving, sometimes we get lost and we don't really understand what we're trying to say. And I had to sit with that. I really had to learn that. Okay, so it's like that was my body telling me enough. You need to sit down. Welcome, Bib and Esperno. Welcome. You have to sit down. You have to focus. You're telling people, give yourself grace in the grind. Understand. Learn to listen. Learn to pay attention. Learn to see how things feel. And that's what I was doing, I thought, but I wasn't doing it well enough. So I had to learn. Also, you'll notice my new ads for the month of January. I still have my accountability one, that whole month of accountability is checking in. I'll have those lives and all kinds of other things coming, but I took the dates off them. And the reason I did is because it was showing me things can happen. Sometimes things happen, and then you have set an expectation for yourself. I have a lot of workshops. I have a lot of things going on this month. And to do that and set dates, and then I'm forcing myself to do something that's not going to flow properly because I feel forced to do it. So it's not that I'm not doing them, but it's learning to understand that my body had to show me, what if something happens? What if something didn't go well? There's a million different reasons. Welcome, Hawaii. I miss Hawaii. I haven't been there in a couple decades, but it was beautiful. So, pain, exhaustion, tightness, emotional overwhelm equals communication. It's your body telling you you're overworked, you're not seeing something clearly, you're working too hard, there's got to be a better way, right? So it's your body communicating to you, not that you're failing, but that you need to understand what's going on. So rest is not quitting, it's responding. It's unlearning punishment, and that's kind of what I had to do. I had to learn. Welcome back, Corey. Thank you. I had to learn that, right? I was punishing myself, beating myself up. Oh, I didn't make it in time. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. But if I actually took the moment and sat down, paid attention, and listened, my back wouldn't have went out. I wouldn't have had those struggles. I wouldn't have felt exhausted. I'll just do a little bit more. I'll just do a little bit more. But then it becomes hectic. It becomes it's like you're pushing something uphill. But if we learn to sit with it and say, okay, if I rest, then when I start doing it, I have that rested, all that power, all that energy to go and start doing it, right? Oh, I left my drink over there. Hold on, give me 1 sec. So, anyways, what I had to do is learn. And I mean, we kind of always know that, but we don't actually listen and sit there with it. And if we would do that, we would create such a space. 11:11 on the clock. Thank you, Spirit. That's how when we step forward, we're stepping forward in accountability, but we're trusting ourselves. We're trusting our flow. We're trusting our bodies. We're trusting our steps because we know that we're not going to overdo it. We know that we're going to say, oh, I'm not feeling real good. So I'm not going to overdo it today. I'm going to find something that's a lighter load. I'm going to do some still tasks, but I'm able to move around my calendar, maneuver this, maneuver that. So it's a little bit lighter work. It's less painful. There's many different ways to do it. But when we start listening, we understand that when we move our stuff, we can still make it work and not be hurting ourselves all the time, right? So many of us were taught to push through at all costs. And anybody that knows me for any period of time would know I will work till I will work till my back's broken. I will truly work myself crazy. 18-hour days was not even something I would bat an eyelash at. It just was what it was, right? Nadino, welcome. Fellow fella, welcome. Sunshine and Maine, welcome. Kaka, welcome. All right, so anyone that knows me knows 1,000% that I will work myself crazy, right? We confuse rest with laziness and productivity with worth. And I know I've been through the same struggle, and I do it all the time. Welcome, Sarah and Violet and Crystal. Welcome. So, healing requires a new relationship with rest. And that's literally what I had to learn it. Even though I thought I was learning it, I thought I understood it. I'm always pushing myself, pushing. And I had to sit down, and I had to take a few days to rest my back and make myself feel better and then I had to get up and I had to move slowly. I had to be very, 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 very slow and very intentional with each step that I took. And the reason I did that was so that when I was doing my task that I had to do, because I have a child, I can't just not do anything. I had to make it very, very minimal, but I had to make it intentional. So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to grab a little bit of laundry on the way. I'm going to do just a circle and keep it as minimal as I can. And I had to learn how to do that and also pace that same way to my capacity. I knew I couldn't do a lot, so I wasn't going to be scrubbing and mopping floors for 2 days because my back, I couldn't walk, right? So there was an understanding that I had to give myself grace and do what was the bare minimum was okay. I was allowed to do the bare minimum in that moment, understanding that when I was up to full power, that I was going to be able to give my very best, but not from a place of lack or being drained, right? And I don't think people give it enough thought. And I thought I was. So that's when I tell you that having to sit down really got me to focus on that just a little bit more, because I was setting such a high expectation for myself. And then it's like, so am I setting that same expectation for other people? So am I trying to make people do something above their capability at any given moment, right? And so you had to kind of sit with that and really process that. Welcome, Jesse. So, understanding expectation versus reality. Okay, when we're at full capacity, obviously, we can do all kinds of things. We can get our tasks done. Everything flows great. It's beautiful, right? But when we're feeling not good, when we're sick, when we have, usually when we're sick, it's because we've been overworking and not giving enough to ourselves, not showing up and doing the self-care. When my back went out, the first thing that came to my brain is, man, I haven't been doing my exercises. I haven't been doing my yoga. I haven't been doing my stretches. I haven't been taking that time. It was, probably for a month, because I was doing a lot of stuff, getting my business up and running, creating my website. A lot of things on that side were kind of lacking because I was busting my butt trying to get everything else done. And what it taught me was you're letting yourself go, right? You're letting your own things slide. Not all of them, but enough that my body was feeling it, right? And that's why when my back went out, I had to understand, okay, it's time to sit and listen, because you've been out of control, you've been working too hard, you've been going crazy, and you're holding your expectation up here, right? And reality is, you need to lower it down a little, and anything from here is a bonus. Right, but we're not going to push ourselves to the point of exhaustion, which I was doing. I was guilty, and here I am telling everybody, self-trust and flow, right? Grace in the grind. Give yourself grace. Listen. And I thought I was, but clearly I wasn't. I wasn't enough, and that was where I had to learn that lesson too. And as I learned them, I always share them. Those couple of days laying out where I could barely move and thinking, man, that really was crappy. That hasn't happened to me in a long, long time. I don't want that to happen again. So now, part of this week is looking into how I'm going to move forward, looking into my exercises, making sure I'm scheduling that time where no matter how busy it is, that time is that time for me. those are the things that people, when they let them go, they don't understand how it gets so bad. It's a slippery slope, and when you let one slide, you let all your other small things slide. So we gotta understand that expectations create suffering when reality is asks for adjustment, right? So what do we have the actual capability to do today? What can we do without hurting ourselves? Welcome, Layla, Anista, and Navji. Welcome. Flow happens when we loosen the grip, not when we force the plan. If we keep forcing it, it just becomes harder and harder and harder, which means we're exerting way more energy than we need to. And it may be something that we really want to do, and that's great. But when we're exerting that much force, we're taking that much more time because we're doing it and we're having to work harder for it. So it's going to be way more time than it would be if we just rested, did what we needed to do, and then did it from a full energy, right? So letting plans change without guilt. This is so important. Setting yourself up for failure is when everything is a date. I'm not saying don't book appointments for yourself and don't set expectations. But when you set expectations for like a whole month or 2 months out, for this time and for that time, life's. You don't know what's going to happen. So creating a set date and a set time sometimes is really good. But if you're doing it that far out, not understanding that things happen, like any kind of emergency could happen, then now you're holding yourself to this date that you can't possibly happen, right? And then, yes, we're learning how to adjust that. Emergencies happen. We change the date. That happened. It is what it is. That's life, right? But plans changing doesn't mean you did something wrong. Sometimes the work is sitting down and listening. And that's what happened. I had to actually learn to understand. I'm preaching grace in the grind. I'm preaching learning to listen to our bodies and stuff. And literally that's what happened. When my back went, I was like, okay, you're talking all this, listen to your body, sit and pay attention, check in, but where's your checking in? You've been busting your butt. And that's what God did. God said, you need to sit your ass down now. It's time to listen, pay attention. You gotta adjust because you're burning yourself out. You're running and running and running, and you're not giving yourself those times to sit in your wins, to celebrate the small wins. My Christmas dinner was fantastic. I had friends over. My daughter was so excited. My friends and their kids. It was beautiful. We had a fantastic time. And I didn't even let myself enjoy it. I cleaned up and then I started going to work. And I did enjoy it, but it was like I didn't get to sit in that and really truly enjoy the rest and the joy and seeing all of the great things that were happening. I kind of I missed it. I didn't sit with it as much as I should have. And when what happened when my back went out, it was saying, you need to sit your butt down. Good morning. I hope you had the greatest Christmas and New Year's. How are you, Alicia? I'm so glad for you. I'm glad everything worked out. I put my back out, like, it's good now, but I was down for the count for almost 3 days, and I was supposed to do this episode on the 2nd of January, and I was like, I'm done. I couldn't even get up. It was rough. We're doing well. We're struggling a bit. Yeah, that's what happens, right? You got, like, there's adjustment, and you gotta remember he's coming from a very warm place to a very cold place. There's a lot of things to balance out, right? But it will, and it'll come very easy. It's right now. Once you're getting situated, getting that level, I'm just now, and I mean just now, starting to level off. And what I mean that is because now I figured out how much I need to put into my business each month, without shorting us and the living expenses and all that. How much energy, that's what I'm actually talking about now, how much energy to put into my business, put into my content, because there's my business and then there's my content. And this I do for free. I do this because I love to do it. I do this because I've learned it, I use it. And anyone that has tools and start to understand, it helps them. So this is my passion, right? And my business is an extension of my passion. So That's the other part. Thank you. I appreciate that. But the point is learning the balance, right? Because when I'm pushing my passion so much, I create this expectation. Well, you know me. You know how hard I worked. I used to work myself damn near dead, right? That's never changed about me. That's my work ethic. It's never going to change. But it has to change. And that's what I had to learn when I put my back out. I can still work like I work, but I have to learn to balance it out. And that's what, like, self-trust and flow. Understanding when you're burning out, understanding when you're pushing your body far past what it needs to be, and struggling, right? You get to a point where it's not fun anymore, and it becomes like a chore or a task, and that's when it's time to sit down. That's when it's time to understand, whoa, this is something I love to do. That should not happen. And not getting upset with yourself. Understanding that, hey, like, yeah, I'm tired. I just need a little break. And it was 11:22 when I was saying that. Terry Lynn Jolie, welcome. So, yeah, plans changing doesn't mean you did something wrong. It's sometimes the work is listening, it's understanding. It's okay to feel disappointed and then move through it gently. You did? Hey, listen, can you tag me in it? So, is it a new page? Like, is it this one? Because actually, I'm looking for workouts. I'm not trying to kill myself, but I'm going to be more yoga stretches. But, yeah, I would absolutely love that. So, is it this one now? Like, is it this one? Is it on YouTube or? Yeah. Can you tag me in, like, one of your videos when you post them so that I can go and follow? Because I'm all about that. I'll come in on my... Okay, perfect. Then I can follow you. Welcome, Johnny and Wolfgang. Okay, so it's okay to feel disappointed and then move through it gently. Trust is built in moments like these. Trusting yourselves when you stop, trusting your body when it says enough, and trusting that nothing is lost by honoring your limits. When things happen, it's okay. It's truly okay. We're not gonna beat ourselves anymore. We're gonna understand that usually, almost always, our expectation is way up here and reality somewhere over here. And if we can meet somewhere in the middle there, we're not going above anything, but it's not about lowering our expectations. It's about understanding that our expectations are not sustainable. And when we get to that point that we're running ourselves ragged trying to get things done, welcome, Ken. That's when things become harder and harder to deal with, right? So, trusting that nothing is lost by honoring your limits, right? Oh, perfect. Oh, right here. Okay, welcome. Hold on. Oh, how do I follow? Follow back. There we go. All right. What does that... Uh-oh, what did I do? Okay, I don't want to do that. I followed you. I got you. That's all that matters. Welcome, Harshmeet. Yes, I definitely want to check it out. And if you're on YouTube, YouTube is a really good place to post the videos. I'm trying to get up enough people so I can go live there. I'm pretty sure my YouTube is shadow banned. Been 2 years. I have over 200 videos and still only 7 subscribers, and you have to have like 50 to go live. So it's okay. I already know how that goes. Being shadow banned sucks. You got to work harder to get through it. But I'm ready, and I've been building. I have all my content, and I'm constantly staying ahead of it. Now that I'm really ahead, yeah, I know. That's what I mean. And to have that many on here and then only 7 on YouTube that I've had longer than TikTok blows my mind. But it's a tech thing. It's people. It's shadow ban. It is what it is. It sucks, but I'm gonna work through it because if there's nothing else, I love to cheer for the underdog, and I can only be the underdog for so long, right? I'm still showing up. I'm still doing my videos. I'm still doing what matters. And along the way, the world will catch up. And when they do, they're going to be like, whoa, where was I? I've been here waiting. So I'm just being obedient, and that's all that matters. I'm excited. I'm going to go check yours out as soon as I'm done on here, because it's something I actually have to prioritize. I was doing really well with it, and then I let it slide going into Christmas. First, I had a really crazy half of the year, right? Getting into the business program, having to do all of that stuff, creating the business plan, doing all that, building my own website by myself with no knowledge, zero knowledge, and everything, all the content I make, I've had to learn all along the way how to do it, how to create it, what apps to use, the best ways to do it. And I'm still learning, but it's been a really big learning curve throughout all of this, and then still maintaining the production of my business, right? So my expectation was way up here, and my capacity was pretty good, but I was not learning the adjusting period. I was not learning that not every day can I be up here. It's just not possible, right? To be sustainable, I need to be, this is bare minimum, this is capacity, this is expectation, and I need to be somewhere in the middle. And then when we get up there on some days, that's great, but learning to understand that I'm only one human being, and no matter what it is I want to do, create, or excel at, I still have to learn. And if I'm not taking in for that learning curve, then I'm beating myself up. Oh, I didn't get that in time. I didn't finish this in time. I didn't do that. And I learned that the hard way, because I was letting go my exercises. I was letting go little things that, to me, I was like, it's not that big a deal. I can make up. Well, no, it can't. What if something happens, right? So we're learning how to understand that when to trust ourselves, when to stop, when your body says, okay, time to sit down. You don't want to get sick. You don't want to do this. Like, you got all those kids. You got all kinds of things going on. Transitions, right? Because I forget his name. What's his name? Oh, my God. I can't remember my own name. But him coming home, you got that. And then him transitioning from Jamaica to here. That's a big transition, right? Adjustment. It's going to take some time, but that's a big adjustment. It's a big thing on the system. So when we think about that, learning how to pace yourself and get to that point, you're allowing yourself to actually trust when to say enough, right? And trusting that honoring your limits isn't going to lose anything. It's just going to allow you the time and space to soak in the learning curve, to understand the adjustment, and to then be able to move forward. Because as you start doing it, you start learning, you're going to eventually master it. You're going to, because you're showing up and you're doing it every day. The only difference is when you set your expectation and every day you don't quite hit that expectation, you're punishing yourself. You're beating yourself up, and you're not allowing yourself to say, man, I really did this. I did this so well. I got to here, and that's so great. You're not allowing yourself to celebrate those wins. And I had to learn that. I thought I understood it, but I didn't understand it until then. I was made to sit down and listen, and it's probably the best thing that could happen. Dolce, welcome. So, listening to the body. There was a time when I would have punished myself for slowing down. We all do that, right? I would have pushed harder, ignored the signals, and I told myself I didn't have time to rest. And I've been doing that since June or July, probably even before that. But I was in survival. I slowly moved my way out of survival and I thought I was going out of survival and starting to transition into stability. But what happened was, even as you're transitioning into stability, you don't quite understand that when you're in stability and things are good, you don't have to push yourself at survival-like lengths, which is a huge difference, survival and stability, right? And when you're in stability and you're still pushing at survival mode, you're going to burn out, right? So I would tell myself I didn't have time to rest. But our bodies don't speak to stop us. It speaks to protect us. Learning to listen when it says sit down isn't weakness. It's wisdom, and it's self-trust in action. And I truly had to actually learn that the hard way. Because even when you think you're doing it, your brain, no matter how much you're telling yourself you're not in survival, you're grateful, you're doing all these things, but I'm still doing the job of 10 people, which most people are, right? So it's not a abnormal thing. But even those 10 people get a break, right? They get to go home at the end of the day. They get to relax. They get to have those break times. You can't take the job of 10 people and then never give a break at all. And that's what I was doing. There's no time to rest. No time to rest. Sleep, wake up, work. Deal with my daughter. Play. Do what we can do. Clean up. It was just constant. But the work that goes into creating the content that I make, doing these videos, doing my other lives, and maintaining a business, doing the production of it, and trying to reach out sales and finding that balance. It's a hard thing to do, because when you push too hard, your body lets you know, right? But if you don't, then you don't get anywhere, right? So it's learning to understand that, but listening to your body first, because your body's what matters. You are 11:33 on the clock. Thank you, Spirit. It's you and your body. This is your vessel. This is what's carrying your soul. This is what's allowing you to be grateful, to see the sky, to see what's going on in the universe around you, to love your people, meet people, share your gift, right? How can you do that if you run yourself down and you're constantly in lack and wore out in survival? It wears you down. It's a poison, and it just keeps growing in your body. And eventually you're going to have no choice but to get sat down, right? That's exactly what happens. Mine wasn't as extreme. I've been through some extreme stuff in my life, but it was a reminder, right? You've been here before. This is something that you've already overcome. You had to learn that balance while you're back in the space, because you're getting out of line, you're getting out of control, you're pushing too hard on yourself. And that's what the universe said. What happened to those exercises? What happened to the smoothies that you're making for breakfast? No more processed food. Like, the things that I was doing so good for myself all went to the side because I was trying to catch up on other things, trying to get it done and not putting myself first. So this is what I'm trying to talk about when we get to trust and flow. We want to get to that space where we're not letting our back go out. We're not pushing ourselves to exhaustion. We're learning to understand as we go, right? So expectations and flow. It's so important. A lot of our frustration, it doesn't come from what happens. It comes from the expectations we place on ourselves. Okay, most of us, I want to do this. And then something happens and you did like 6 of the 7 things, but you didn't get that one thing. Are you going to celebrate the 6 you got done, or are you going to punish yourself for the one you didn't get, right? And that's what tends to happen, right? We tend to punish ourselves for the one we didn't get and not celebrate the 6 that we did. Like, that mindset shift is huge. And when we can get to that space that we're understanding, yeah, maybe I didn't get the 7th done, but I did all those 6 and I did them really, really good. And that one thing tomorrow, that's where we start from tomorrow. We're going to start from that space and see what else we can add on top of that. That's when we start changing how we work. That's when we understand that we did exactly enough that we were supposed to do, and know that it's going to benefit us, because maybe we needed to learn something or hear something or understand something before we finish that task, whatever that task might have been. Maybe we didn't have enough energy. Maybe there was something that we needed to learn, understand, read, look up before we got into that, right? So when the plan changes, it can feel like failure, even when it's not. Flow isn't about everything going perfectly. It's about responding honestly to what is. Sometimes flow looks like movement, and sometimes it looks like stillness. Sometimes it's just learning to understand what it is that you're doing that's creating the lack, that's creating the blockage, that's making it harder for you to do it. And I had to sit with it. I actually sat down. God said, enough. You've been pushing. Why are you not pushing? Why are you pushing so hard? What about the 6 great things you did? So I created my whole January's content, the talking points, the understanding. I created the ads, the commercial, like the actual content ads, and then I created the ads for my business, for my website. I created all that, posted it, scheduled it, got it all done. Created all the talking points. so that I can sit on them, think about them, adjust them throughout the month. But doing the reach outs, I created my whole month schedule and completed most of it in a week, just under a week. But I put a lot of thought and energy into them. I already had the bare bones, right? I created the skeleton, and then I did all that extra work. And the final, I think 4 days or whatever, I hadn't got posted or scheduled. And I was literally upset with myself because I didn't get that finished all in the same day. I had to give it a rest and go back at it again. And that's when, Hales, how are you? I hope you're doing really well. Hi, Watt, welcome. Did you go to the doctor? I thought you had an appointment. I'm so excited for you. I'm praying for you. I'm praying. But yeah, so we got, it's not about everything going perfectly. It's just about responding honestly to what is. Soon should be good. So they did they didn't give you the answer. So you'll probably find out today when you go. I'm not sure. It's been so long I can't even begin to tell you. But I think that when you go in today, they'll let you know. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's been a long time. I don't even remember, and I'm pretty sure that by the time I knew I was pregnant, I was already way far enough along. They were not planned. I'm so very happy for them, but they were not planned, so I understand that completely. Yeah, sometimes it looks like stillness. Sometimes it looks like showing up, sitting, and celebrating what you have accomplished, not focusing on that one that you didn't quite get to, right? Releasing guilt. This is the huge one, okay? I had to sit with the discomfort of resting. 3 days, I had to lay out. My back I was done. I couldn't get up, and I still had a daughter to take care of. So getting up was torture. I did, right? Like, I still had to cook for her, but cleaning just didn't happen. It was bare minimum. I have to make up for that today, go through and get all that done. But, man, I was in physical pain. I was upset with myself because I couldn't complete the task that I needed to do. And that's when we go into that punishment mode. Then I had to sit and say, okay, well, I have already done all this. I had this already done and completed. So I'm missing 2 days that I didn't get done. Okay, I can make up for that along the way, but I needed to sit down. I was in pain. And then when I got up, I still took 2 days to get moving again, to have full movement and be okay. So that was 5 days that really slowed me down. But in those 5 days, I learned so much more, because my expectations have been set so much higher, right? And I learned to release the guilt. And then, not even thinking about it, right? As I'm processing this and doing this, I'm like, how could that possibly be that that's literally exactly what I'm talking about for the trust and flow and for the whole grace and the grind? That's what I've been talking about. Stop putting your expectation up here or holding up somebody else's expectation. That's the whole thing about grace and the grind. Meanwhile, I'm like, my own expectations have been up here. I'm expecting myself to do the job of 10 people, and when I'm not accomplishing it to perfection, I'm punishing myself. So that's what it was done. It was meant for me to sit down and say, no, you're doing the same thing, the very thing that you're telling people not to do. Even though I thought I was doing it, I wasn't doing it enough. I was putting in the effort, but I wasn't digging deep enough. Now, in saying that, I had to learn that so I could share it, but also so I could start showing up for myself and doing it, looking for better workouts, stretches, things that are going to help so that doesn't happen again. Taking care of my body. How can I maintain a business and do all the things, take care of my daughter, if I'm still not at, if I'm not at 100%? And if something happens, who's gonna take care of her? Who's gonna do those things? It's my job to take care of my body, to take care of my mental health, my emotional health, which is, it's all our own independent job, right? So listening to our body and trusting that and learning to flow with what our bodies are capable of doing, and that changes from day to day. Understanding that today your capabilities may be up here, just where your expectations want to be, they may be up there. But can they be there every day? Is that sustainable? No. And learning that when it's not sustainable, to adjust. Today I don't feel that great. I'm going to do this. But I know that I can balance it out, because if I stay at this and every little day I get a little bit better, I'm meeting that expectation. But I'm doing it in a way that I understand if I need to slow down, if I need to sit with something, I'm giving myself that time to do that. And I'm not going to be guilty for it. I'm not going to punish myself, right? I had to notice the guilt, the irritation, the feeling of being behind. That feeling of being behind that's lack, right? That's where guilt shows up. That's where you feel like you're not doing enough. Something's not enough. But not enough to who? To what standard? Does it matter to the people that I speak with, the people that I talk to? Does it matter if I have my whole entire month's content planned, ready to go, right? I already know what I want to talk about, right? But does it matter if I have it scheduled, if it's not showing up? If I already have it ready to go? Is it going to matter to you if those last 3 days aren't scheduled on my scheduler so they go up properly? Is that going to matter? Are you going to know? No, none of that matters. That was my own thing that I was punishing myself with. That's where guilt starts to show up. And what happens is that will pile up. That's when the resentment comes in. That's when those things come in. That's when you start boiling over some expectation that you set for yourself, or for somebody else's expectation that you allowed to weigh you down. It's not up to them. It's up to you to trust what you can do, right? Elo, welcome. That's part of the work, right? That's part of the grace and the grind. And if we don't understand that, we hinder ourselves moving forward. We make things a lot harder to do. 11:44 on the clock. Every time I look up, I love those are master numbers. Okay, and the reason I'm speaking on that is because we're learning how to master ourselves. We're learning how to understand our emotions. We're learning how to figure that out. We're learning how to give ourselves grace as we're doing it. And then, of course, the rest of January will be accountability, talking about showing up and being accountable for ourselves. Now, accountability doesn't mean holding yourself to that expectation and then being accountable when it doesn't fall. Being accountable is saying, hey, what is my capacity today? How am I feeling? Do I really need to do all 20 of those things I have listed for myself? Could I maybe start with 12 and then understand that we'll take whatever is an extra, right? But learning how to figure out what your capacity is, sit, understand, and show up for yourself, right? That exercise routine that you don't really want to do, but you know that you got to, because you're not used to doing it, it's uncomfortable and you don't feel great. You have to be accountable and show up and say, hey, I'm going to commit to this. Doesn't matter what it is, but I'm going to commit to this 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and I'm scheduling that because this is something that I need to get into the habit of. And to do that, I do have to show up every day. Welcome, Stacy. So that's something that you're going to choose to do. Okay, well, you're going to choose to do that because you know that it's showing up for you and it is going to benefit you in the end. Right, and committing to that and saying, okay, to do that, maybe I have to set aside my live or do it maybe an hour later or maybe, something like that allows you the space to compromise and adjust something and not feel guilty about it. And it's learning that flow that you're going to be able to move through because you're trusting yourself, right? So, sometimes we have to let that stuff pass. We have to let the failures go. We have to, because they're not failures. They're just lessons. They're teaching you something, letting you understand exactly what it is that you need to do for yourself, right? That's part of the work. You're allowed to change plans. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to take care of yourself without explaining it to anyone. Okay, I'm explaining it to you because I want you to understand how I had to learn the process. Because I don't want people to learn it the hard way. I don't want people to have to get laid out, back hurting so bad you can barely get up before you understand, I'm not taking my own advice. Here I thought I was, but I wasn't doing it enough, right? But I'm smart enough to understand that what the problem was. My expectations were set way too high for myself, and understanding that I was doing already a lot. So finding that balance wasn't something that wasn't just about preaching it. It was about understanding. Am I checking in with myself enough to understand? Clearly, I wasn't. I was go, 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 go. I wasn't checking in as much as I should have. So now I'm actually making it a point, every morning to say, hey, how am I feeling today? What is it that I think I can get done? And instead of creating this huge list of things that I'm doing, I'm creating a monthly list of what I need to get done. And then each day I'm saying, okay, let's do one or two of those things, because a lot of them take smaller steps, right? They take some other things in between. But as I'm doing it, okay, what can I do today? What do I have the capacity to do today? And that's where I'm finding out what I can do. And I found that when I started doing that, that's just even over these last few days, I got way more accomplished in a small period of time than I would have done in a whole week's period of time, because I learned how to stagger it based on how I was feeling. I could do the smaller stuff and maneuver, and then take my computer stuff, the stuff that I have to do, break it up, right? I learned how to take a little bit of this, and then I made sure I made time so I'm getting that movement and getting up and doing things, come back and do some more. But I made it into a cycle. I made it into a way that I could do it where I'm not overwhelmed, where I'm not overcommitting or feeling burnt out in anything that I'm doing. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, back over here. And for some people that may not be the right way, that may not work for them. But learning how to figure out what works for you starts with checking in with yourself, showing up and being accountable. Well, yesterday didn't go very well because I pushed myself. I sat in the chair so long, my back hurt. Then when I got up to do this, it was a struggle. It was harder to do. Learning to understand how you maneuver and the things that you do that actually create things harder for you is part of learning how to trust yourself. And that's what it means to be checking in. If we know we can't sit at a computer for 3 hours on a regular basis, sitting still is it's not something we're good at, then we're going to break it down and we're going to say, okay, I'm committing to 40 minutes or 45 minutes at the computer. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do 30 minutes of work around the house, whatever it is, and then come back, do something else, another 45 minutes. But we're checking in and we're breaking it up. And what happens is that while we're doing the cleaning and the other things that we need to do, our brain is focused on some of these other things that we're trying to do, creating like my content, stuff like that. It's really important to understand that those breaks, those times that I did that allowed so much more energy, capacity, and time to create these other things that I was doing. But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't sit with myself and actually start taking my own advice. Like, deeply take it. I always take my own advice, but I wasn't doing enough. I was still pushing myself because I have to do everything by myself. Just like a lot of people, I'm not the only person in the world that has to do everything by themselves. But anyone that has had to will 1000% understand what I'm saying when because we've had to do it ourselves and we've been hyper independent for our whole damn lives, our expectations are very high up here because we just want to get it all done so we can rest. But when we change that about get it all done so we can rest, and we break it up with little rest periods in between, up here is so much easier to climb when there's a rest period. All of a sudden we're here and we're like, how did that happen? And I had to learn that the hard way because I wasn't doing it enough. So the reason I'm sharing it with you guys is because I'm really hoping that going into January, the accountability content that I have coming out and my talks that will be on that is really going to be understanding that being accountable doesn't mean punishing ourselves. It doesn't mean setting our expectations up this high and then not celebrating what we did, even if we didn't make it all the way up here. There's a really solid way to learn and understand that accountability is self-trust, okay? And when we learn how to trust ourselves without that lack and understand and celebrate those moments, celebrate the wins, big or small, all the time, and not get focused on what we did or didn't do. If we can look at ourselves at the end of the day and really punish ourselves saying, yeah, I was supposed to do 7 things today and I only got 6 done, so I really didn't do that great. No, but you mastered 6 things. You did them so well, they're completely done off your task list. You don't have to go back and do them. So they're completed. So we started the 7th one, but we didn't finish it. Are we going to punish ourselves? No, because now we know where we're starting tomorrow. That's going to be our starting point, right? And that allows us a space to think about it, perfect it, understand it, and really flow with it, right? Because maybe didn't have the energy. Maybe we would have half-assed it because we weren't thinking enough about it. We weren't having time to sit with it, right? And I feel like that was part of my lesson too, was learning to understand that even when we think we are, and if things start to feel, a little tough or start to feel harder than usual, that's when we have to sit with ourselves and really take that moment and say, why does it feel hard? Because if this is something I love, it shouldn't feel hard, right? Welcome, Ellie. So trust isn't built when everything goes according to plan. It's built when you honor yourself even when things don't. Flow begins when you stop fighting your body and you start listening to it. Rest is not punishment, it's alignment. Listening to my body is an act of trust. These are some affirmations I think that everybody should start saying, thinking, understanding, and using more often. Nothing is lost when I honor my limits. In fact, it just gives you the stepping stone for the next day, right? What to work with on the next day. A starting point, right? I'm going to pull some cards on this because I really always like when Spirit helps me with my message. I always talk about what I talk about, and usually how it goes is if I'm on point and if what I'm talking about is good, solid goodness, there's almost always confirmation in the message, and there's always action steps because a lot of if you notice my cards, they're self-care, they're oracles, they are about grounding and action steps and how we can do things to celebrate our wins, to show up for ourselves with love, with self-care, with gratitude. These are things that to me are the most important things that we can ever do for ourselves. And what I've noticed, trust me, I've toughed out a whole bunch of things. I've lived in survival mode a long time in my life. What I notice is when I start slacking on the self-care, start slacking on the gratitude, start slacking when I show up for myself. If you saw my ad actually today on Facebook, it talks about the pressure and learning how to grow in it, and that's part of the accountability. You'll see they show up on my Facebook, on my TikTok, YouTube, all of them. They go everywhere, but it's because I'm trying to teach something that it took me a long time to learn. And anything that is in the tool belt that can help us trust ourselves, show up, by giving ourselves grace, and lowering our expectations. It's not saying don't do anything or don't have high expectations. Don't say, I want to do all these great things. It's not about that. It's about learning to give yourself grace if something happens and you can't always meet that expectation. Because if your expectation's always up here, there's no way you can live up there every single day, all day, 24/7, sustainably without burning yourself out. Something's going to have to slip, something's going to have to slide, and almost every single time it's going to be your own self-care, your own mental health, your own emotional health, and your own physical health. And if your physical health is going down, everything else is going to go down with it. This is your one body. It's your one body. You have to treat it that way. So can I please have a self-care for this message? Talking about self-trust and flow, something to go along, action steps, way to show up for yourself in the middle of this. In my dialogues, there are no answers, but sometimes a question is the flash of the answer. Amen. Welcome, Marie. Allow yourself to ask questions today. What does your mind search for? Delight in your ability to learn and transform. Every time we take those moments for ourselves and we get curious, we're learning. We're sitting there listening, we're paying attention, and we're showing up for ourselves. Ask questions. Understand that that's a gift all in itself. Changing your mind, transforming what you believe, listening to something new and saying, that makes a little bit of sense. Maybe I don't know all the answers. Maybe I don't know 1,000% of the way, but I know that this does make sense. So maybe that's a starting point. Because when you find something that fills your soul, that makes you feel good, that feels right, you just get that feeling. You know it feels right. When you get that space, moving forward from that space, you already know that feels right. You start listening to it, understanding and adjusting for it, the world's gonna to meet you there, right? They're gonna show up for you. All right, can I have the puzzle piece? Sorry, I hate these things. There we go. All right, can I have a gratitude one for this message? The trust and flow, inspiration. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes. If this isn't confirmation of what I was talking about, I don't know what is. Malky, welcome. If you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. Sometimes you gotta sit, relax, get offline, not read a book, not do anything. Just let your mind go for a moment. Take some time today to unplug today. Turn off your phone, shut down your computer, and reflect on your energy level. How am I feeling? What's going on? What am I able to do today? How do you feel? Do you need to prioritize yourself more today? If that isn't confirmation, also angel number 26, have a look there. There's probably going to be a really good message there for you. This is gratitude, and it's true. Learning how to unplug, pay attention, and show up for yourself. Understanding, listening what your capacity is, and not judging yourself for it. We all have days where we feel a little more low energy. We have things that pile on us, things that make it harder to go this way, go that way, not understanding what to do, because as soon as we get overstimulated, we set our expectations too high. As soon as we do all of those things, what do? We set ourselves up back into survival mode. We keep running back in there because we push, because we set our expectations too high, because we weren't checking in with ourselves. The more we check in with ourselves, the more we have the ability to adjust. And learning how to adjust without guilt is when we have our greatest wins. Show the world the real you. Full moon in Aquarius. Your hard work is paying off. Learning to understand that to be authentic, you have to check in with yourself. You have to say, what's going on? How am I doing today? How am I feeling? Is there something that I need to switch? Do I need to give myself a little rest? Do I need to put a little more energy into myself today? What is going on? How is it going? Learning how to check into yourself. That's the only way you're going to be able to show the world the real you. But first, you got to see it and understand it, right? Your hard work is paying off. When you show up for yourself and you understand where you need to step up, where you need to adjust, where you need to do what's best for you, that's when things start changing. What do you need to release? If it's guilt, if it's expectation, get rid of it quick, because that's what's going to hinder you, right? Learn what you need to release, and your own expectations too, not just other people's, your own. When you hold your expectation up here, knowing it's not sustainable every single day, you're destined to fail. You're not actually failing, but in your brain you think you're failing, and you're not celebrating the wins you get, and we don't want to do that. You gotta zoom out. You gotta look at the bigger picture. Is it gonna matter at the end of the day if I get all 7 tasks, all 10 tasks, all whatever tasks done today? If I get 9 and the other one has to wait until tomorrow, but the other one, when I start tomorrow with that task, and I'm gonna do it so much better tomorrow, is it really going to matter at the end of the day whether I got it done today or tomorrow, right? Learning how to find that adjustment where we're still allowing ourselves to dream big, to do all the things that we want to do, but we're not setting ourselves up for failure because we're not punishing ourselves if it doesn't work out perfectly exactly every single time. If we only get 6 out of 7 done, we're not going to punish ourselves. We're going to celebrate the 6 that we did. And then we're going to say, okay, maybe we have to maneuver or adjust our thing, or maybe we start with 6, and then we put the seventh task of the day as an added extra. So maybe we can do it some days, maybe we can't, right? So if you set a task list for 10 things and then you say automatically, okay, I'm only going to do 7. I'm committing to those 7. But those 3 are bonus gravy. So if I get all 7 done, but I don't get the 10 done, it's okay. I know that those 3 tasks I can do the next day. And when we're smart and we check in with ourselves, we can completely arrange what those tasks are to the priorities, right? We do the priorities and everything else when you learn to prioritize that. But if you don't put yourself first, if you don't prioritize yourself at first of the list, you're going to end up at the bottom of the list. And when you end up at the bottom of the list, then you're going to have to sit your ass down and you're going to get sick. Something's going to happen. God's going to check in with you and say, hey, how'd you get to the bottom of the list? Because self-love has to be self-trust, has to understand running yourself ragged and doing all these things and putting all your stuff last is not how you're going to get show up for yourself with self-love, right? So I had to learn that way. I really had to get sat down and say, hey, what's going on here? Welcome, sweet angel. You got the love. Karmic relationships. We met the Hathor. We the Hathors. Right? Okay, so this is the love that you have. This is the love that you need, right? You have to show up for yourself. Do it for yourself. Okay, you can't be the karmic relationship in your own life. You cannot, right? You need to find that balance. We're not pushing or pulling. We're learning how far we can go this way, how far we can go that way, and then finding that balance, right? And it takes time. But the only way you're going to know that is checking in with yourself. But if you don't show up and give that love to yourself, no one else is going to know how to show up. Okay? Check in with yourself. The star keeper. See the light by staying grounded. The only way to stay grounded is by showing up for yourself. Your self-love has to be priority, right? My will to thy will. When you show up for yourself and you start trusting all of your movements, your judgments, your adjustments, all of the things that you need to do, and you start trusting yourself, that's when things start showing up. They start working out better for you. That's when you allow yourself the space to say, I really did all those 6 things. Why am I going to be mad because I didn't get the 7th thing? How can I punish myself when I showed up and did all 6 of these and I did them so well, but I want to stay stuck on the one thing that I didn't complete? You need to love yourself and be like, I got all 6 done. And I learned so much more as I was doing those 6, right? Tomorrow I'm going to start with the 7th one. That's my number 1. And we'll move forward from there. And we'll see. Maybe tomorrow I only do 6 things and add the 7th as an extra. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. And it's learning how to self-adjust. And it does. It takes time, it takes balance, and it takes practice. And it's going to change from day to day. That's why checking in with yourself, multiple times a day is the best way to do it. Welcome, Kim. It really is. It's the best way to do it. But I know it takes practice, right? So if you're at least checking in with yourself in the morning and the evening, celebrate the things that you've done. Be accountable for the things you didn't. If you spent all day scrolling through your phone and didn't do anything else, then you could be like, I got to be accountable for that. I really didn't do anything. I was doom scrolling. I did nothing today. I need to be accountable for that. Tomorrow that can't happen, so we're going to schedule something else, right? Then we're going to start talking to ourselves. What lights you up? Doom scrolling definitely doesn't light you up. So what brings you passion? What makes you happy? That's going to be our first question. We know that doom scrolling was not the answer, right? So we're going to check in and we're going to ask ourselves that. Because if you're going to spend that time doom scrolling, you can spend a few minutes of it checking in with yourself, seeing how you feel, right? And then just say yes. Whatever it is that you feel that you needed to do that's going to make you happy, just say yes. Get up and do it. Get up and do it. Do it for yourself. Say, I'm not doing this anymore. No more doom scrolling. No more anything. I'm going to learn as I go. Put in, for me, you want to learn something new. Put in a book on Audible so you have to do other things so you're still listening and learning and taking it in. And you're not shorting yourself the joy of learning things new, but you're allowing yourself the space to do it from a space of love. Then we have the Creativity Oracle. I have a few of these, and I was organized until my 5 days of down for the count. my disorganization is driving me crazy today, but it's okay. I'm trusting myself, and I know that it was disorganized because I had to heal. So I learned to take that and adjust for it, and tomorrow and moving forward, today too, the rest of today, but I'm moving forward. I'm going to add those plans into my cycles. How can I make this better for me? Because if this gets chaotic, then this becomes something that will be dreaded, right? If it's something that's constantly chaotic, or it's not something that's there where you have the ability to use it, access it, or take note of it, then it becomes a hindrance and it becomes something you don't want to do. So the idea is these things that become a clutter or a struggle or something that you don't like. So the first thing on your list is, how can I adjust that? How can I make that better for myself? While still doing the other tasks that I'm doing, right? So just finding a different way. And sometimes it's practice makes perfect. Use trial and error. You got to figure it out. And it's okay to do that and not judge yourself. All right. Can I have one creativity oracle? That's the one, eh? Worry. Worry is attachment to a particular outcome and the fear that it will not come to pass. Angel number 57. We're not worrying anymore. When we find our way through this, and we understand that worry is something we don't want, we have to release it. And it's funny because that actually came after the other card that said, what do you need to release? Which makes so much sense. 57. All right. Worry is attachment to a particular outcome and the fear that it should not come to pass. I should probably cover that because, there we go. The worry card is an indication that problems you are having with the matter in question are the result of too much worrying on your part or on the part of someone else involved. Selecting the worry card can be a reminder that you have the tendency to allow yourself to become overly hopeful that a particular result will be the outcome of a particular method you favor. Anxiety can hold us back. Worry and creativity cannot exist at the same time. Our style of worrying is often developed in childhood to make us feel like we're doing something in the face of forces over which we had little or no control. If you want to be a magic maker, you have to do what our friend, the late Dr. Gerald Epstein, so wisely advised. You have to separate your attention from your intention. Relax. Don't worry. Yeah. When we focus on it and we focus on worry, we're going to create more worry, right? So when we start to feel that worry, if we're going to do anything, we want to check in and say, what is the worry, right? What is it that I'm worrying about, and why am I worrying about it? So instead of allowing the worry to overtake it, we're checking in, right? Why am I worried about that? Why is that bothering me? And that's kind of where we get in that point, right? Beyond Lemuria. I like this deck a lot. All right, can I have one for our self-trust and flow? Something to focus on, something to help with the message, some action steps, some ways to ground it, something on the message that helps heart chakra. I kind of knew that was going to be the one. Number 5. Love for oneself and others, relationships, compassion, forgiveness, empathy, connection, receptivity, acceptance, and generosity. These are beautiful cards. This chakra card represents love in its many forms. It reminds you that everything in life can unfold into love or fear. When unfurled back enough, the foundation of all you seek lies in the universal desire and right to feel love and be loved. Love heals, God is love, and the force that will change the world. And this is the force that will change the world. Count everything in your life that you are grateful for. Think of all those you love and how that wonderful feeling radiates from your heart. Consider those you can forgive and extend that feeling out to them. Remember, we all just want to be loved and accepted, but insecurities and triggers can cause behaviors that move us away from this place. Have compassion, know that others may be in their suffering, expand your awareness and heart-centered radiance for all beings on the planet, encapsulate the earth in loving compassion. Bask in the blissful feeling of the planet in all of its perfect balance, loving you back. When you show up for yourself, this is the relationship that you're having with yourself. And when you show up for yourself with that much love, guess what? It mirrors back to you because you're automatically sending it out into the world. First by your inner world, then it matches your outer world. So when you're giving it to yourself, it is going to mirror back to you. 12:12 on the clock. Thank you, Sarit. When you learn how to show up for yourself and love yourself, you automatically do that for other people. You treat them the same way. You have more compassion. You have more understanding. And you don't allow your expectation to be their expectation, right? When you set that expectation for someone and they can't meet it, maybe they don't have the capacity, maybe they don't have the understanding, maybe they don't have the ability in that moment. That doesn't make them a bad person. Your expectation is not their expectation. And sometimes that takes a long time to learn and understand, right? And that's something that I'm trying to teach people and myself, right? Because I create big, high expectations for myself too, and it's not enough or should be more. There's always a million reasons why we can constantly do more. But when we start to understand that, we show up a little differently for ourselves. I love that one. 9999. Lessons learned. Culmination, results, benefits, reflection, completion, achievement, growth, and gratitude. Reflect on your achievements and the journey that led you here. This reminder encourages you to stay optimistic and keep striving toward your goals. Keep your momentum supported by the powers of heaven. You've accomplished great things. Now embrace the rewards you've earned. Forgetting that part, embrace the awards you've earned. Forgetting that moment to celebrate what you've done and keep focusing on what you didn't complete or what wasn't enough. It's just how you complete more and more and more of never getting enough, right? And when you do that, you create that lack. Cam Moon, welcome. So understanding that that's how we learn the lessons along the way. And understand that every time I'm teaching you something or telling you something, if I'm letting things slide and I'm not showing up for myself, I promise you, God sits my ass down and says, hey, you're not listening to your own advice, so you need to follow your own advice. When we do that and we understand that that's exactly what's happening, it's a lot easier to check in. I had to learn, I had to get told, like, listen, you're pushing yourself way too far. You're setting your expectations way too high. Would you expect that of your neighbor? Would you expect that of your sister or your brother or your mom? No. So why are you pushing yourself to that point? Learning that balance, that's when you start understanding it and showing up. That's when you start flowing with trust. That's why when you show up for accountability, you're trusting, oh, we got a whole bunch today. Okay, so I'm a light worker in disguise. I don't have to talk about it. I can just be it. These are just little affirmations. When that negativity creeps into your mind, when you start feeling like maybe you want to judge yourself because you didn't get enough done that you should have, or something had to be missed, or something came up that changed your expectations. These are little things that we can say that we're going to get rid of that pressure, the guilt, the self-doubt. Because when we start to trust ourselves and speak our greatness into the world, we definitely flow differently. People start to see it. You allow other people grace, right? And then they start to be safe in your surroundings because they don't feel pressured. They don't feel that negativity, because you're understanding that we all have only a certain capacity, and when we push past it, we just hinder ourselves in the future. Welcome, Bella. Every cell in my body is conscious and communicates with each positive thought I have. It's not about toxic positivity. It's about understanding the capability. It's about when you feel those emotions. If you start feeling resentment creep up, that means you've been holding something back for quite a while. And you really got to start checking in to see what it is. And when we get to that space, we understand that. And when we start feeling these things, we're not going to know unless we start checking in with ourselves. That's why it's so important that I'm sharing these things. It's so important why I'm trying to get people to understand that even us, even when we're doing it and showing up and doing the things, you know, just because we're spiritual, just because, you know, we want to do these great things in life, just because we check in with God, just because we listen to our ancestors, just because any of those things, doesn't mean that we don't have to check in with ourselves, okay? Because we start off spiritual, right? We have all these expectations and all these things, but we're human, okay? And things get busy, life, things change, adjustments happen, and not punishing ourselves in those adjustments is what creates that space. We allow ourselves grace. We allow other people grace. We understand that things happen, and we're not going to hinder ourselves or hurt ourselves anymore. We're not going to be negative. We're not going to think bad thoughts of ourselves, right? We're not going to hold ourselves to these crazy high expectations when all that does is lead us down the road of failure, because something's going to happen and then we take that shame or that guilt because something didn't happen. We're not doing that anymore. Being accountable is saying, okay, well, something had to change because I wasn't ready. I needed to learn something new. I wasn't physically able. Okay, how can I change that in the future, right? It's about checking in with it, with yourself, and then understanding, I'm not going to punish myself for that. I'm going to check in. Because if I didn't do this or do this or do this or something didn't happen, that means I need to check in and understand why. Not punish ourselves. Just get curious, right? I'm ready to go big, rise up, and step into my power. When you check in with yourself, that energy changes in a whole new way. I can't control the world, but I can control how I choose to perceive it. When you perceive it from negativity, from guilt, fear, shame, there's a whole different way. You don't see it, you don't understand it, and then you're building up resentment for something that was an expectation that you set, or that somebody else set and you felt you had to hold on to. The only expectation you got to set is every single day, and then allowing yourself to change. We don't hold ourselves to expectations that are going to punish us anymore. We're trusting our body, we're trusting our ability, and we're allowing ourselves the space to pivot along the way every single day, multiple times a day, as many times as you want. It's your God-given right? Learn how to use it to your best of your ability. My power lies in my peaceful presence. Get quiet, understand yourself, trust yourself. Know that when you're doing these things and you're showing up, if something didn't get completed or something wasn't perfect along the way, it was because, maybe you already did so much, and maybe you got to learn to sit in that accomplishment and say, man, I did this so well, and I'm really proud of myself. Not, I didn't get that last thing done, so I'm such a horrible person. Right? There's a big way. It's about how you change your perspective. It's about how you understand, how you show up. Why do we want to punish ourselves if we don't do something perfectly, when we can just as easily say, man, I didn't do everything perfect, but I did so well with this, and this. How could I do that next thing just a little bit better next time? Now we're not punishing ourselves. Now we're finding a little motivation. We're finding a different way, and we're looking for what's available to us, the resources all around us, to find out how we can better improve what we're doing, right? Give me just one more, please. How many days? Welcome. Okay, let's shuffle. That's good? All right. Okay, so we got a new opening. When one door closes, I am confident another will open, and it will be for my betterment. I accept that life brings challenges and acknowledge the opportunity and learning that they present to me. Serenity comes from within. We don't punish ourselves, okay? If something doesn't get done perfectly exactly then, we understand, even if we miss something, if we miss an opportunity, if we miss a deadline, I'm not saying that we should go and just try to miss things all the time, but if something happens, we're not punishing ourselves. We're trusting that what's meant for you will not miss you. It'll circle back as many times as it needs to until you get that opportunity, right? If it's meant for you and you're doing the right things, trust me, God will always find a way. Hi, Lucy. Welcome. I hope you had a good Christmas and a great New Year. And then, my divine action incites love and harmony. I'm aware of my thoughts and driven by positive forces. I listen to my heart. My desire to manifest light transforms tests into growth, challenges into opportunity, and fear into love. When we learn how to perceive it, 12:21 on the clock, that's the complete mirror. 12:21. It's the mirror, but it's 3:3, which is still harmony, which is balance, which is spirituality. When we learn how to balance things and understand that how we think about it is how we're going to move. So if we're moving and we're saying something negative to ourselves, then we're going to always have that negative output. But if we're saying, okay, instead I did this and I accomplished this and I did this and it's fantastic, my next move is going to be a positive move because I'm already in that positive moment. We're not going to hinder it or be negative. We're going to say, look what I already accomplished. So of course tomorrow I'm going to accomplish that and the next one, right? Of course I'm going to start with the one that I missed and I'm going to celebrate the 6 that I did and I'm going to love myself through that, right? It's just about flipping the perception. It's about understanding that we're only human, and if we don't get everything done exactly perfectly, we understand how to be accountable without punishing ourselves, without shaming ourselves, without feeling guilty. We're humans. Life, things happen, and when things change, plans change, as long as we're showing up for ourselves and showing up with that love, then that's when we're going to absolutely benefit ourselves. Because the one thing that should never slip is our own self-care, our own self-love, our own moments with ourselves where we check in and understand. Denasia, welcome. And then release. I stop fighting my fears and the hardships of life. I control my thoughts, live in the present moment, and accept each stage of life. I work on what I have power over and put into God's hands what I can't change. I trust that everything will work out for the best. And it's true. What you have no control over should be out of your heart and out of your mind. You have to let it go, right? What I've learned to this point is if you do everything that you have learned to this point and you do it to the best of your ability and there's nothing left to do, you can't do anything else, you're trying to learn, you have to wait for the next step, then you wait for the next step. And trust that God's going to handle it along the way. It's going to be handled. You're always going to be taken care of because you're learning how to trust what you're capable to do. You're knowing that, the universe sees you. God sees every move you make and understands you're doing all of the things that you've learned and you're taking that time. But doing all those things that you've learned doesn't allow you to keep moving forward at your own risk, right? You have to make sure that you're showing up for yourself. Because without the vessel, how can you do anything else? You got to show up. You got to love yourself. You got to say, what is my capacity today? Do I have enough? Can I do this? Right? Trust isn't built when everything goes according to plan. It's built when you honor yourself even when things don't. Flow begins when you stop fighting your body and you start listening to it. Rest is not punishment. It's alignment. Listening to my body is an act of trust. And nothing is lost when I honor my limits. These are affirmations that are huge, and they're going to help you. The most important, rest is not punishment. I can't repeat it enough. It's not punishment. You know why it's not punishment? Because we all need it. And if we keep going on with no rest, and we keep pushing and pushing and pushing and keeping our expectation way up here where it doesn't need to be, it's not sustainable to stay up there every single day, all day. We're setting ourselves up for failure. And I would rather go through my life where, maybe if I lower my expectations just a little bit, I can hit here. Maybe today I can't hit here. Maybe I can only hit here today. But my usual expectation is about here. Today I'm not going to punish myself because I can only make it to here. I know that I can still get to here. And I know when I push out and everything flows, I can get all the way to here. But I can't live there. But if I stay in flow, and I trust myself when times are low, and I work that times are low, I allow myself to store up that energy, to build it up. So those days when it flows, everything's good, I get all the way to here. And when I get all the way to here, I'm making up for any of that fluctuation. And you have to trust that if you stay on here all the time, you're guaranteed to fail. And when you fail, you're going to punish yourself. We don't want that anymore. We're not punishing ourselves. We're saying, hey, I did everything that I could do today, and I accomplished this. We're not punishing ourselves for that once. We're trusting ourselves, and we're saying, okay, maybe I didn't get that one done, but I got all this done. And now I know where my starting point for tomorrow is, because if that's really important, then that's going to be my starting point. But nowhere throughout this day and all of the tasks that you have to do should self-care, checking in, showing up for yourself with just a little bit of love, those affirmations, those little moments, the 20-minute workout, the things that you're doing for your benefit, that extra time that it takes to make a smoothie, that you really love to do, that's your breakfast, that's the thing that you love to make, that's what we're doing. We're making the time for those things. And we're not going to let it go, because when we put our self-care and we let it slide, we end up at the bottom of the list. And we should always be at the top of that list. When life's and you got to go down a couple steps because you had to let something slide to get this and this done. Okay, you need to check yourself before it's already got down to, okay, I'm not at the top of the list anymore. I'm going to end up at the bottom of the list very quickly. And we don't want to do that, because when we are at the top of the list, we're always working from a full cup. We're not working out of lack. We're not working out of guilt, shame, resentment, any of those things. We're working from inspired action. We're working from trusted action. We're saying, okay, my body has this capacity today. I know I can do this. My mind has a lower capacity, so maybe we're going to keep it to heavy duty, more of the workload of activity and less thinking, right? Because we don't have, emotionally we can only take so much, or mentally we can only take so much. Understanding what your capacity is allows you to trust what you're doing and what your steps are. And your steps are always going to be inspired when you're checking in with yourself like that. So that's what I have for this one. It was a really good message, and really I had to learn it again, because I wasn't checking in with myself enough. Now I had to get my ass sat down. Really, I pulled my back out. It was really rough. That was really rough. But I had to understand that it was meant for me to sit down and say, hey, you're not following your own advice. You might think you are, but you're still pushing yourself way farther than you should. And I had to check myself, and I really did. I checked myself. I sat with myself, and now I'm making it a priority every day. Before I do this, before I do any of my lives, before I start focusing on work, I'm checking in with myself. What can I do today? What is my priority? What is the schedule for my own stuff today, for the things that I want to do, whether it's, my 5-minute coffee break, whether it's my 20-minute exercise, whether it's taking that time to make that extra smoothie. It's just showing up. It's allowing yourself that space and making sure that you're at the top of the list. It doesn't have to be the first thing you do in the morning. Checking in with yourself should be, but the other things for you can be scheduled throughout the day at different times. But it's making sure that you're doing them. That's what accountability is. Understanding that if you don't do them, your ass is going to get sat down at some point, because you're letting yourself slide. And we don't want to do that anymore. So I had to learn that the hard way. And that's okay. It's good, because I thought that I was doing it. And I was, to some extent. But I was slipping down the slope, right? Because I'm letting myself slide. Oh, I'll do that later. That by the time later came, my energy was done, and it became the last thing on the list that I just couldn't get done. So understanding that when we put ourselves as the priority, then we clearly understand how to move forward, and how to treat ourselves in a way where we are saving that energy. We're using that energy properly, and we're allowing ourselves the freedom to understand that this, for me, has to come first. I need to do my own my meditation. Like, before I come on here, I have to clear my mind. I can't be thinking about work and thinking about all the other things I have to get done and the worries of life. No, because my message that I'm giving is really important, and it means that I have to be checking in with myself. Do I believe what I'm saying? Do I understand? Am I saying it, everything I'm saying with integrity? Is it something that I would want to hear and want to understand? Like, I have to check in with myself all the time. All right. If you want to check out my website, you can go check out my website, creativelyguided.ca. Anything, if it's got my logo on it, definitely done by me. You can check out the Healing Hub. You can go purchase my teas. I have a whole bunch of stuff, my artwork. I have my alignment bundles. I have my guided journals. I have short story, reflection stories, things like that. There's a lot more things coming out. My Abundance Bath Soak is coming out there, but my teas are already up there. Tinctures, all kinds of good stuff. Go check it out. The Healing Hub, there's all kinds of free stuff on there too. And of course, there's the Healing Hub, which takes you to the contents. If there's something you feel like you're looking for, or you want to check up, or just always check in, new tools, new things that can be helpful for you, for showing up for yourself, and for loving yourself through the thick and the thin. And that's really what matters. So go check it out. If you missed this and you want to watch the replay, usually by the end of the day, I have it posted up on my YouTube and on my website, the latest episodes. So, yeah, go check it out. And I should be back. I'm trying to keep it not too much, but I think I'm going to try to keep it to every Friday. I do the lives for this one, because the next one, this was the end of the Grace and the Grind. The next one coming is the accountability for the month of January. It's not about setting goals that we're going to fail. It's about showing up for ourselves in the best possible way. So lots of good stuff coming. Stay tuned. Keep your eye out. I'll be doing the action steps for January this week, for all of the different signs. Keep your eye out for that. I'm excited. I had a great rest. Learned a lot of stuff along the way, but I really actually got to take some time out for me and my daughter, and start enjoying the stability that took us a long time to get to. It took us a large space to work towards, and it took a lot of work. So learning how to understand and sit in that and actually get to enjoy that, it took some time, and it took some reminding, because I'm always want to go, over push, but at the end of the day, I think that's what it was meant for. When we overwork and we push ourselves and we set our expectations so high, we tend to forget all the things that we actually have done along the way, all of the things that we should be celebrating and really just enjoying, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, divine timing. Learning how to sit in our wins. And yes, we can plan our future. And yes, we can dream big and do all the things. But if we're not celebrating the things that we've won, the things we've done along the way, what are we doing to ourselves, right? So that's what I got, you guys. If you want to watch the replays, yeah, go check out my YouTube. It's Creativity Guides Me. And there's might be a couple more apps coming up that I'm going to be adding to. As it comes, I'll let you guys know. Also, if you go to my website, you can sign up for the newsletters. Then you can always keep up on what's coming for the month, what's going on. Lots of exciting things. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a good day.